Have you ever wondered what stories your grandparents never got to tell you? Or maybe you've looked at an old family photo and realized you don't know who half the people are. Well, you're not alone. I'm here today to help you unlock those mysteries through the wonderful world of genealogy. Welcome, friends. Today we're going to talk about something that becomes more meaningful with each passing year: discovering and preserving your family history. You know, at our age, we've collected countless memories and stories. We're the keepers of family lore that the younger generations might never hear unless we take the time to document it. Genealogy isn't just about building a family tree. It's about connecting with your roots, understanding where you came from, and leaving a legacy for future generations. And here's the best part. Now is the perfect time to start this journey. You've got the wisdom of experience, possibly more free time than before, and a treasure trove of memories that are invaluable to your family story. The beauty of starting genealogy after 60 is that you can approach it entirely on your terms. There's no rush, no deadline. You might be satisfied with documenting just a couple of generations, or you might catch the genealogy bug and find yourself tracking ancestors back centuries. Either way, what matters is that you're preserving pieces of history that might otherwise be lost forever. So, how do we get started? Well, I've found that the simplest approach is often the best. Let's talk about some practical first steps that won't overwhelm you or require a big investment. First, let's gather what you already have. Before buying any software or signing up for websites, start with the most valuable genealogy resource available: you. Your memories, your knowledge, and the items already in your possession are gold mines of information. Take a piece of paper, nothing fancy, just a simple notebook will do, and write down everything you can remember about your immediate family. Start with your parents, their full names including middle names, birth dates, birthplaces, marriage date, and if they've passed, their death dates and places. Don't worry if you can't remember exact dates. Even approximate years are helpful to start with. Then, move on to your grandparents and follow the same process. You might be surprised by how much you know, or you might realize there are significant gaps in your knowledge. Both discoveries are valuable. Those gaps will guide your research later on. If you're fortunate enough to still have siblings, cousins, or other older relatives, give them a call. Make it a pleasant conversation. I've been thinking about putting together some family history for the grandkids. Do you remember when Grandma and Grandpa got married? These casual conversations can yield amazing details that no official record could provide. While you're gathering this basic information, it's also the perfect time to locate any family documents you might have tucked away. Check those old boxes in the attic or basement. Look for birth certificates, marriage licenses, military papers, obituaries, and family Bibles with handwritten records. These primary sources are incredibly valuable and provide official documentation for your family tree. Let's not forget photographs. Those old photo albums or boxes of pictures are treasures waiting to be rediscovered. As you go through them, write down any information you know about the people, places, or occasions on the back using a soft pencil, being careful not to press too hard. Who is in the picture? When and where was it taken? What was the occasion? This information might seem obvious to you, but future generations won't know unless you tell them. Now, let's talk about organizing what you find. You don't need anything elaborate to start. A simple 3-ring binder with plastic sheet protectors works wonderfully for preserving documents and photos. Sort items by family groups or individuals. Whatever makes sense to you. The important thing is to handle these precious items with care and store them properly to prevent damage. For those comfortable with technology, Taking digital photos or scanning your documents and photos creates a backup that can be easily shared with family members. Your grandchildren might be thrilled to help with this part of the project. It's a wonderful way to connect generations while preserving your family history. As you organize these materials, you'll likely find yourself remembering stories associated with certain people or events. Don't let those memories slip away. Keep a notebook handy to jot down these stories as they come to mind. Your personal recollections add context and humanity to your family tree that dates and places alone cannot provide. One thing I've learned in my years of genealogy research is that our memories can sometimes play tricks on us. You might be absolutely certain about a date or place, only to discover documentation that shows something different. That's completely normal and part of the detective work that makes genealogy so engaging. Be open to revising what you think you know as you uncover new information. At this stage, you're already doing important genealogy work, even if you haven't purchased a single piece of software or visited a genealogy website. These first steps, documenting what you know, gathering physical evidence, and recording your memories, create the foundation for everything that follows. And honestly, for some people, this might be enough to satisfy their interest and provide something meaningful to pass down to children and grandchildren. But if you're feeling inspired to dig deeper, the next step is to look at tools that can help expand your research beyond your personal knowledge. There's a world of resources out there to help you discover ancestors you never knew and stories you've never heard. The key is finding the right resources that match your interests, budget, and comfort level with technology. Speaking of tools, let's talk about some simple and inexpensive materials that will help you begin your journey properly. A good starter kit for genealogy doesn't need to be fancy or expensive. Besides the 3-ring binder I mentioned earlier, consider investing in acid-free paper and storage materials, which will prevent your precious documents and photos from deteriorating over time. A magnifying glass can be incredibly helpful for reading old handwriting or examining details in photographs. And a good set of dividers for your binder will keep everything organized as your collection grows. For those who prefer a more structured approach to recording information, you might consider purchasing family group sheets and pedigree charts, which are pre-printed forms designed specifically for genealogy. These can be found online for free, purchased at bookstores, or ordered from genealogy supply companies. Now, as your collection of information grows, you may want to look into family tree software to help keep everything organized. But before investing in any program, it's important to know what features will be most helpful for your specific goals. When choosing family tree software, think about what matters most to you. Some programs are designed for simplicity, with user-friendly interfaces perfect for beginners. Others offer more advanced features that you might appreciate as your research deepens. The good news is that many programs offer free trial versions, so you can test them before making a purchase. Popular options include Family Tree Maker, Roots Magic, and Legacy Family Tree. These programs allow you to input names, dates, and relationships, and they'll automatically create visual family trees that you can print or share digitally. Most importantly, they keep your information organized as your research grows. If you're comfortable using the internet, online platforms like Ancestry.com, MyHeritage, or Family Search offer both tree-building tools and access to historical records. Family Search, run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is completely free and contains billions of records. While the others require subscriptions for full access, they often offer free trials or basic free accounts that might be sufficient for your needs. Don't feel pressured to choose the most comprehensive or expensive option. The best tool is the one you'll actually use. Start simple and upgrade only if you find yourself needing more features. Now, once you've organized your initial information and perhaps selected a tool to help manage it, You're ready for the truly exciting part, expanding your family tree beyond what you already know. This is where genealogy becomes a fascinating detective journey. Let's start with the most accessible resources. Public libraries often have genealogy sections with local history books, census records, and newspaper archives. Many libraries also offer free access to subscription genealogy websites that would otherwise cost money to use from home. Librarians can be tremendously helpful guides in navigating these resources, so don't hesitate to ask for their assistance. For those who enjoy in-person research, local historical societies and county courthouses hold treasures like land records, marriage licenses, and probate files that may not be available online. These institutions often have volunteers or staff who are passionate about helping people with family history research. Visiting these places can also give you a sense of the communities where your ancestors lived. If traveling to archives isn't feasible, you'll be amazed at how much research you can now do from your living room. The internet has revolutionized genealogy research, making millions of historical records accessible with just a few clicks. Census records, passenger lists, military registrations, and newspaper archives can reveal fascinating details about your ancestors' lives. One particularly valuable resource is the census. UK census records are taken and released every 10 years. The 2021 census was taken on March 21, 2021. The first results from the 2021 census were released on June 28, 2022. Due to UK privacy laws, census records are made public after 100 years. These records can tell you where your ancestors lived, their occupations, and who lived in their household. Another wonderful resource is old newspapers. Reading the actual news from your ancestors' time provides incredible context for their lives. You might find birth announcements, wedding descriptions, obituaries, or even stories about their community involvement. To see old UK newspapers, the best resource is the British Newspaper Archive. It has a vast collection of digitised newspapers, including national and local titles. You can access the BNA through their website or through Find My Past. Other options include the UK Press Online, the Times Digital Archive, and the Daily Mail Historical Archive. Military records can also provide rich information. Call-up papers, national service records, and pension applications often contain physical descriptions, next of kin information, and details about an individual's service to their country. These records honor your ancestors' sacrifices while giving you insight into a significant chapter of their lives. If your family has roots in another country, immigration records can help bridge the gap between your British ancestors and their origins abroad. Passenger lists, naturalization papers, and immigration records can reveal when your family arrived and from where they came. As your research progresses, you'll likely encounter both delightful surprises and challenging mysteries. You might discover that family stories passed down through generations have changed over time. That famous ancestor might not have been quite so famous, or that family scandal might have been exaggerated or even invented to cover a different truth. DNA testing has added an exciting new dimension to genealogy research. Companies like Ancestry DNA, 23andMe, and Family Tree DNA offer testing kits that can reveal your ethnic origins and connect you with living relatives who share your DNA. These tests have helped countless people break through research brick walls and make connections they never imagined possible. If you decide to try DNA testing, understand that the results might occasionally challenge what you thought you knew about your family. This is normal and part of the journey. The genetic connections revealed can lead to new branches in your family tree and potentially meaningful relationships with distant cousins researching the same family lines. As your research deepens, remember to document where you found each piece of information. This practice, called citing your sources, will help you remember which details came from reliable records and which might need additional verification. It also helps anyone who might continue your research in the future. Speaking of continuing your research, let's talk about sharing what you discover. After all, the joy of genealogy isn't just in the finding, it's in the sharing. Your research might inspire younger family members to continue the work you've started or give them a stronger sense of identity and belonging. There are countless creative ways to share your findings. Photo books that combine family pictures with the stories you've uncovered make meaningful gifts. A simple written narrative of your family's journey through time can bring the names and dates to life. Some people create websites or private social media groups where extended family members can contribute their own memories and photographs. Family reunions become much more meaningful when you can display a family tree or share stories about common ancestors. Consider preparing something special for your next gathering. Even a simple handout with a few stories and photos can spark wonderful conversations and perhaps unlock memories from other relatives that add to your research. As you continue this journey, be prepared for it to evolve along with your interests. You might start focused on names and dates, but find yourself increasingly drawn to social history, understanding how historical events shaped your ancestors' lives and decisions. Or you might become fascinated with genetic genealogy, using DNA to extend your family connections in ways previous generations of researchers could only dream about. The beauty of genealogy is that it can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. Some days you might spend hours following a research trail, while other times you might just enjoy organizing the photos and stories you've already gathered. There's no right or wrong way to approach this hobby. Remember that every discovery, no matter how small, preserves a piece of history that might otherwise be lost. Each document you save, each story you record, each photograph you identify, these all become part of your legacy to future generations. Throughout this journey, be gentle with yourself and with the ancestors you're discovering. We all have complicated lives and make difficult choices. Your ancestors were no different. Approach their stories with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment. As you move forward with your genealogy project, know that you're joining a community of millions of people engaged in similar research. Local genealogical societies welcome newcomers and often hold regular meetings where you can learn new skills and share your discoveries. Online forums provide spaces to ask questions and connect with researchers who might be working on the same family lines. Genealogy is truly a gift that keeps giving, to yourself as you discover your place in the long line of history, and to future generations who will treasure the foundations you've laid. So whether you're just starting with jotting down what you know, or you're ready to dive into historical records and DNA testing, remember that each step preserves precious history that makes your family unique. The journey of discovering your family history often leads to unexpected emotions. Don't be surprised if you find yourself moved to tears when you discover a photograph of great-grandparents you never met, or when you learn about hardships your ancestors overcame. These emotional connections are part of what makes genealogy so rewarding. It's not just collecting facts, it's connecting with the human stories behind those facts. One aspect of genealogy that many seniors find particularly meaningful is recording their own stories. While you're discovering information about ancestors long gone, consider documenting your own experiences for future generations. What was your childhood like? What historical events have you witnessed? What wisdom would you like to pass down? Your personal history is just as valuable as the ancestors you're researching. There are simple ways to record your stories. You might keep a journal with memories from different periods of your life. Voice recordings are another wonderful option. The sound of your voice telling family stories is an incredible gift to leave behind. Some people enjoy being interviewed by children or grandchildren, turning family history into a collaborative project across generations. Technology has made this easier than ever. Smartphones can record high-quality video and audio. Apps designed specifically for preserving memories guide you through questions about different aspects of your life. Services like Your Story help you compile your answers into a beautiful book. As you work on your family history, try to maintain a balance between meticulous research and simply enjoying the process. It's easy to become so focused on finding every document and verifying every date that you lose sight of the bigger picture, connecting with your heritage and preserving stories for the future. Some days are for careful research. Other days might be better spent writing down the story of how your parents met or labeling photographs from your childhood. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed by the scope of what could be done, remember that any genealogy work you do has value. Even identifying the people in a single photograph or recording one family story preserves something that might otherwise be lost forever. There's no such thing as not enough when it comes to family history. Every bit counts. I'd also encourage you to look for the humor and humanity in your research. Our ancestors weren't perfect. They made mistakes, had quirks, and lived through circumstances we can barely imagine. Perhaps you'll discover a great-grandfather who changed his age depending on the situation, or a great-aunt who was known for her terrible cooking but magnificent singing voice. These personal details bring your family tree to life. One of the most rewarding aspects of genealogy is how it can change your perception of history. Events you read about in history books take on new meaning when you discover your ancestors lived through them. The Great Depression isn't just an economic crisis from textbooks when you know your grandparents lost their farm during those hard years. Immigration statistics become deeply personal when you hold a passenger list showing your great-grandparents' arrival in a new country with just a few possessions. This connection to history can be especially meaningful when sharing with younger generations. Children and grandchildren might not be interested in dates and documents, but they'll be captivated by stories of real people, their own ancestors, who lived through significant events. You become the bridge connecting them to their heritage. As you continue your genealogy journey, be prepared for research challenges. You'll likely encounter what genealogists call brick walls, points where the trail seems to go cold. Perhaps records were destroyed in a courthouse fire, or your ancestor changed their name, or they lived in a time or place where few records were kept. These challenges are normal and faced by every family historian. When you hit these roadblocks, sometimes the best approach is to set that particular question aside temporarily and work on a different branch of your family. Fresh clues often appear when you least expect them. The genealogy community has a saying, "No brick wall stands forever." With patience and persistence, most research questions can eventually be answered. Another challenging aspect of family history research is encountering difficult or painful stories. You might discover ancestors who experienced tremendous hardship, made choices you don't understand, or lived in ways that conflict with modern values. Remember that every family has complicated chapters, and these stories are part of the full, honest picture of your heritage. As we begin to wrap up our conversation today, I want to emphasize that genealogy is a journey without a final destination. There's always another generation to discover, another story to uncover, another connection to make. The question isn't whether you'll finish your family history, because no one ever truly does, but rather, what parts of it bring you the most fulfillment to explore. Some people find great satisfaction in tracing their lineage back as many generations as possible. Others prefer to focus on finding photographs and stories about more recent ancestors they can almost remember. Some become passionate about the historical context of their family's experience, while others are most interested in connecting with living relatives discovered through their research. Whatever aspects call to you, follow your curiosity and enjoy the journey. I hope our conversation today has inspired you to take those first steps into discovering your family history. Remember that you don't need expensive equipment or extensive knowledge to begin. Just start with what you know and what you have. Your memories are valuable, your questions are important, and the information you preserve will be a gift to future generations. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content designed especially for our generation. I'd love to hear about your own genealogy journeys in the comments below. Perhaps you've already made some fascinating discoveries about your family history that you'd like to share, or maybe you have questions as you begin this adventure. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, each of us is a link in a long chain, connecting the past to the future. By exploring and preserving your family history, you strengthen that chain for generations to come. Until next time, happy discovering. And remember, as well as looking into the past, you may want to enrich your golden years with other hobbies or pastimes. Please check out our channel for other ideas by clicking the link below. Thank you for watching and have a great retirement.